What is going on, everybody? It is officially game week. Welcome into the DGD podcast. As always, I'm Robert Reynolds, your host. Caleb over there. We are awaiting the presence of the one and only Keon. And with us, we have a special guest to kick off the Georgia football season. Randy from How About Them Fucking Dogs podcast, HBTFDAWGSCAST. Randy, how are you, sir?
Yes, sir. I'm doing good. We liking life over here at the How About That Dogs Cast. Things are good.
Yeah, I heard
Feet
that.
back on the grass. Yeah, everything's good.
Awesome, man. I listen, I know all of us are excited. We'll jump in first things first. Are we glad that the season's here? Because I sure as hell am.
Well, I sure am. I mean, whenever Georgia's season ends, doesn't matter. They could win the national championship or, not make the SEC playoff championship game, whatever it is. All you hear, all I see in my comments and everywhere else is hate the season is over. Can't wait for football season to get here. Then for 8 months, we do all the work, keep the fires burning over here on the channel, right? We're still talking ball all year long. Then we get around to football season. Man, these folks better be ready to go. They better be fired up because all I've heard for 8 months is how much you've been waiting on it. And we're here. So if there's ever going to be a week where you've got FPE, if there's ever going to be a week where you're feeling it, right, and you're all about it, it should be week one. And with that said, tonight, I had someone in my comments already dismissing the Marshall game. Just like it doesn't even count. Like it doesn't even matter because it's a scrimmage game. I'm like, come on now. Don't do that to yourself, man. Enjoy the season. You only get 12 guaranteed games. Enjoy them.
I don't know who that is, but shame.
Shames.
Like, Georgia hasn't even teed up between the hedges yet, and we've already dismissed it. That's nasty work, as the kids would say. Caleb, I know you've been busy too this offseason. We all have. Caleb, obviously, we had some news during the offseason for anybody that may be coming back in, waking up out of hibernation, if you will. We brought in Caleb as our full-time co-host. He's doing his thing, man, streaming college football, right? Fun fact, top 100 in the world globally. So make sure to follow him as well. Support him. Hey, he's doing it here too on this channel. So make sure to like, follow, and subscribe. Ring that bell so you can watch him during the season as well when we're not doing our show. But that also means we're back to 2 shows a week. So obviously Mondays, Wednesdays, same time, 10 p.m. But it's balls to the wall until, year round, but not what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Anyways, we've got a lot to get into. But let's do this first. Let's put an end to this off-season talk, right? Let's recap it very quickly and move forward. The new chapter, the 2025 Georgia Bulldogs football season. First things first, Randy brought it up. FPE. Loved that. I heard it all through fall camp and everything else. Were you surprised at some of the notable players that were wearing the blue cap for that FPE? Were there any surprises for you? And if so, who were the surprises for you?
For me, it has to be JJ Hani, right? Or Han. I'm still not clear on how we pronounce his name.
I believe it is. Yeah.
For me, that has to be the biggest surprise because we're talking about a kid who didn't grow up playing American football. He's only been playing for almost 2 years. And we all knew that he had the measurables, right? And they took him for a reason. But you still wouldn't expect that guy to be the guy who is wearing the cap. And I understand that there are different reasons you could earn it. Maybe it's just effort. Maybe it's whatever you do, even if it's wrong, you're going 1,000 miles an hour. You're still earning it, right? You're still setting the bar for what is going on at practice. And so to see that from a guy who is fairly new to the game and certainly coming in as a true freshman, that one had to get my attention. I mean, there were some pleasurable discoveries along the way too. When you see a guy like Colby Young wearing it after what happened to him last season, and you understand that since he's been back, and Kirby spoke about this today from the podium, since he's been back, he's been nothing but everything they want him to be, then that's a really good story, you know? So I would think probably Hahn would be the guy that is the most surprising, and Young would be the one that makes me just happy. Like, that just makes me feel good, you know, because whether the guy catches, 50 balls or whether he catches 20, if he's been able to be out there with his teammates, contribute in a way that's going to help the team be better and lead the younger, and even if there transfers in, lead that group in the wide receiver room the way it appears he has been able to, that's a good thing for Georgia on the level.
No doubt. I think it's a good feel-good story, just the resiliency, right, in 12 months. I think, well, actually about 9 to 10 probably. Yeah. But you get what I mean. Nonetheless, like the perseverance and the resiliency, I think, is a really good story. Caleb, I'm gonna give that over to you. What were some surprises for you?
I'm gonna say my boy London Bridges Humphrey. Seeing him wear the blue cap just gets me really excited because he's long, lengthy, fast as all get out, and he could be a big contributor to the wide receiver room. I mean, the dude can ball. We saw it against us when he was at Candy Vandy. So I like seeing him wear the blue cap, and obviously you got to go with Gunner as well. I'm gonna let you tap in on that one because I know you want to talk about that. But I'd say London Humphreys for me, man. I'm really rooting for the kid, and I think he could be a big part of that wide receiver room.
I'm not going to give any surprises. I think, Randy, you took my surprise with J.J. Hane, considering the true freshman aspect of things. And that's always a good sign because that's that, in my opinion, I think that translates to future leadership, right? If you continue with that sustained the FPE, if you will. But when I look at this, I think two names for me. And, Caleb, you brought up Gunner, and that's one. But C.J. Allen, the fact that both of those two were donning the blue cap, I think that tells me that I found my offensive vocal leader and my defensive vocal leader. And you need that vocal leadership. I think you need that leadership. When you look at Nolan Smith, he was that vocal leader, right? There's been other guys in years past that's been leading, but they're more by example, right? And that's not necessarily a bad thing. But that vocal leader, that guy, when we look back last season, I don't think there was a true leader that stepped up and, kind of asserted themselves, right? We were a young team. Well, we had some old heads, but a lot of the younger guys were trying, it felt like. Now the old guys, kind of go away, and now it takes shape where a CJ Allen now has I think it's a necessity for him to be that leader. And Gunner, he's your quarterback. You have to be that leadership. I don't necessarily think we had that with Carson Beck last year. It's good to me to see that kind of energy and the, all the intangibles there from Gunner to be wearing that blue cap, because that's what you need. It's not a want. You need that for Georgia's standard and what our ambitions are as a program. So seeing those two, to me, were very, I would say, reassuring. Did love Hane, though. I thought that was awesome to see. And Humphreys was another one as well. I felt like seeing Humphreys was kind of surprising. I was like, oh, wait a minute. But also, I think every name that's been mentioned here, you've got a story behind of it too. But just to me, again, just to kind of solidify that, was CJ and Gunner. I just felt like that's the biggest thing for me.
Yeah, you can't go wrong when those two guys, especially given the positions they play. If they weren't wearing those caps, then that's probably a bigger point of concern. Then we would have real questions.
Agreed. I wholeheartedly agree with that because, again, you need that vocal leadership. And I just don't think we had that last year, and it showed, especially in bigger games. Anyways, we talk about, for what it's worth, up to this point, Georgia we're going into the Marshall game about as healthy as we've been in years. What are y'all's thoughts on that? Because I kind of get this good and bad feeling. So I'm kind of mixed feelings about it. But I want to pose the question to y'all. How do y'all feel about Georgia being as basically as healthy as, Kirby said at I think the first day of fall camp, if I'm not mistaken, talking about being extremely healthy. And it seems like for the most part, we haven't had too many notable injuries, significant injuries, right?
Right.
What are y'all's thoughts on that? I'll open it to whoever wants to go from there.
I would say it's about time. I mean, in 21 and 22, those teams were great. But I was saying then, it doesn't always work out this way. They even had injuries on those teams, but they were just so deep they could overcome them, right? And that is not the world we live in now. In 23 and 24, I was saying the ball doesn't always bounce your way. You're going to have injuries. Little did I know that 24 was going to go down the way it did. But the fact that they don't is, in my mind, just another turning of the worm, right? I mean, football is a violent sport. It is not a contact sport. It's not a physical sport. It's violent if it's played the right way. So there are going to be injuries that happen along the way. The thing is, when do they happen? Who do they happen to? And are you fortunate enough to have depth to overcome it, or at least get you by until maybe that player can come back? So there's no way that Georgia can be decimated by injuries the way they were in 24. 23 wasn't as bad. They had bigger names go down. So it seemed worse, right? But in 24, you had just a number of injuries that stacked up that they just couldn't overcome. There's no way that I see that level of injury plague the Dogs this year. Again, just somebody's going to get banged up along the way. You just have to hope that it's, not at the wrong time. And I hate to say it that way, but that's kind of how it is. But the thing is, Georgia's no different than anybody else when it comes to that right now. So if anybody could weather it, Georgia's one of the few teams that might be able to.
Agreed. Caleb, what are your thoughts?
Well, piggybacking off of him, I'm just glad they're going in healthy because there's another streamer who was a Marshall graduate, Marshall alumni, and he's big time into Marshall, big time into supporting the group of five, which I have no problem with. But just the way he goes about it and the way he just acts, I hate Marshall. And I hope we beat him by 50. And I'm glad that everybody's healthy because I'm ready to rub it in his face. I don't care if it's Marshall. I don't care if he's supporting Incarnate Word or whatever. I don't care. I hope we beat him by 50. That's really all I got to say about it.
So what I hear is Dogs versus everybody.
Yes, sir.
I'll take that. As we bring Keon up into the show. Keon, how are you, sir?
Doing great. How are you guys?
Doing good. Let's pop this off there. Anyways, Keon, we're talking about Georgia coming in with little to no injuries, right? For the first time in what feels like forever, right?
Right.
So I want to pose that question to you. What are your thoughts on the fact that Georgia's basically extremely healthy?
I think what Kirby Smart needs to do is get up and go hug our strength and conditioning coach and really just let him know, thank you, from not only behalf of him, the coaches, the fan base, because I remember thinking about this and I called you, Rob, off air and we talked about it and I was like, did we just make it through an entire off season without any major injuries? And then Rob was like, I think we did. Huh. I'm like, that's crazy, right? Because you got to think, even these years where we've won national championships, you're talking about, we've had this guy be hurt, that guy be hurt, and you watched us get healthier as the season progressed. To come into a season and saying, we got everybody, I mean, that's a crazy feeling. It's a really crazy feeling.
For sure. Sacred Grove here mentions smell another natty year. To me, that expectation, I think, is honestly attainable this year.
Yeah.
And I think there's some things that we've seen throughout the quote unquote off season, but throughout the spring, throughout the fall, right? From the spring to the fall. And I think one of these things right here are going to be the catalyst for said comment. And I think that's the emergence of the running back room, but also just getting more talent on the offensive line. And I think it can be done. And so when I say that, I'm looking at the inability to execute consistently, right? From last season. And then now you make these changes, right? You still get a bunch of guys drafted off the offensive line, but you bring in Drew Bobo. And that's maybe going back to our comment about the Blue Caps. That's another good one. Damn it, Trey. But neither here nor there, right? You bring in Drew Bobo, and people can laugh because it's the Bobo last name. Listen, he is going to be a really good center.
Really good.
And I think he might not be as athletic as Jared Wilson. I will say, I think he's more technically sound than Jared Wilson was. And I think that can go just as far. But if I'm looking back, I take his effort, and effort will substantially increase your chances of winning a football game, especially in the line of scrimmage. Just the way that is.
I mean, Drew's played a lot of football. That's the thing about this offensive line. Yes, they put 4 of the 5 into the NFL off last year's team that were starters. But the guys that are plugging into those places this year also have started games at Georgia. And the way Georgia rolls their offensive line, partly by necessity last year, is those dudes had to play. So it's not like they're plugging in guys that haven't played. They just have to figure out what's the best combination. And you hit on it earlier. The fact that they're all healthy is only arrows up if you're talking about figuring out how they work together and gel as we get moving into the season. Because that was the problem last year, in large part, is that you had a spinning gate all along the offensive line with different combinations, and they never could really settle in. There were some other technical issues there where guys just didn't play to their capability. But the injuries did not help. And so the fact that they're all healthy and the coaches can rotate guys, and just look at the guard position right now. You're looking at 3, potentially 4 dudes that all are trusted to play right or left guard for Georgia. That is an extreme blessing to have that many guys that you could play inside, right, with Bobo in the middle. Hell, Bobo even played guard last year. So that's just how it is. And by the way, the depth chart at center, pretty good, right? All you got to do is look behind him. There are talented dudes behind him too. So they have done a really good job of stacking bodies because they knew that exodus was coming. They knew all those dudes were going to walk out of there with their 70,000 snaps or whatever it was, and they were going to have bodies to pick from. And, yes, these are names that people who are not Georgia Bulldog fans aren't really going to know. But if you're watching me or if you're watching you guys and you follow the Dogs, then some of these names are going to sound more familiar than maybe you've been led to believe. And that's a good thing.
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. Also, love your content, Randy.
Thank you.
But to be honest with you, I think so Georgia's roster is in a very peculiar spot right now and I do agree, where you have a lot of players that you might not know the names, but check the measurables. You mentioned the center position. Drew Bobo might be one of the smallest guys in that room, if we're going to be all the way honest. I mean, you're talking about, you got guys from, that we call it the Willie Mammoth class, where damn near everybody is 6'7", 330 plus. So it's like you have a bunch of guys all throughout these different rooms along this offensive line that are absolute monsters. Now, I get it. Georgia fans everywhere probably asking themselves, hey, are we going to struggle to run the ball again this year? From what I'm seeing, just no. I don't think we struggle at all. I think we got home run hitters in this, not only in the running back room. I think this offensive line itself is massive. And I think that's going to aid Georgia, not only in the running attack from just giving the ball to the running backs, but you also got Gunnar Stockton as well, which, let's be honest, the whole world is seriously doubting Georgia being led by Gunnar Stockton, which I think is crazy. And for all people, Kirby is just eating this shit up, showing it to the team like, hey, these guys think you suck.
I mean, to that point, though, Keon, you look at Gunnar has sat and had ample time to learn Bobo's offense and things like that, right? I'm looking at it, and I understand from a talent perspective, this is where projection comes. From a starting experience, you would argue that Gunnar and some other notable quarterbacks, I would look at other notable quarterbacks, Arch Manning, you look at Arch Manning, Ty Simpson, right? And you look at the experience level, right? The amount of starting experience on par with the same. Gunnar has just been at Georgia longer. Right. Now, obviously, I understand that talent projection forces and media coverage and things like that. I just don't understand where Gunnar's abilities, how vastly different they are than Carson Beck. I don't understand the notion that Georgia's going to fall off this proverbial cliff when he opens up new wrinkles. And we've talked about this at times throughout the season, throughout the off season, if you will. Just saying, we've seen this situation, and we saw it against Texas in the SEC title game, Randy. All it took for him was to run one read option, and it forced Texas defense to change the structure of their game plan. It forced them to respect the edge. It forced them to not be able to crash like they had with Carson Beck. It opened up holes in the running game. Things like that are going to make this offense look and feel for that a whole lot different.
Absolutely. So, I mean, if you're going to call the run game for Gunnar, right, you want that hat advantage. If you're going to call that for him, you could call it 5 times or less in a game, and it's going to do everything you need it to do for you, because you're going to have so much movement in the pocket, whether it's on boots, whether it's on rolled out passes, whatever it is, they're going to move his launch platform occasionally throughout the game. And all those things put together are going to widen those running lanes a little bit. You might even see them get really creative and do some of those. It looks like read option, or it looks like sprint out pass, and then you get the shovel pass, right up the middle there to a trailing back or whatever it is. There's so much that you can do right there that you don't have to run Gunnar. It's not like you need him to be Tim Tebow. You just need him to keep him honest, and then he'll be athlete enough to do the rest.
Absolutely.
Sure. I want to read this comment. Go ahead, Keon. Go ahead.
One thing I did want to throw in there on top of all of this is just how, yet again, and I know I'm probably beating this like a dead horse, but there's a lot of people's doubt when it comes to us. It comes from their lack of knowledge on who Gunnar Stockton is as a player. They don't know him as a player. Right. They looked at that Notre Dame game and said, oh, well, he's this and he's that. I was like, wait a second. Let's go back and look at the stats. You're talking about a guy in his first ever career start. You go up against the top 10 defense with first round DBs. You throw for what? What was it? 250 yards? Mm-hmm. A touchdown, maybe 2?
He was a Dylan Bell drop from 300.
So you're telling me in your first career start, you don't even – Randy, he couldn't call the protections. He's going to the line of scrimmage and just saying, hey, guys, you ready to go? Let's roll.
And let's keep in mind that he was playing with a beat-up left tackle and no real run game that night. Georgia couldn't run the ball for nothing. That's part of the reason his numbers are what they are.
Yeah.
But if you factor all of that together, and again, let's just look at the options he's going to have to throw the ball to. He doesn't have to throw it way down the field to have an impact here. Oscar Delp, Lawson Lucky are going to eat. Slot receivers going to eat, right? Then when you choose to, because you can run the ball better this year, let those big dudes up front create that pocket. And I just love Gunnar Stockton's deep ball. Let him sit back there, hang it down the field, and let those big dudes go get it when you choose to, right? And that's what it comes down to, is you do it when you want to do it, not when they want to make you do it, right? And everything we're talking about here is what's going to it's all just going to work together. It's like a good gumbo. You know what I mean? Like it's all just going to work together.
See what you did there.
Yeah, I just
now
ate
you
some
got
good
me.
gumbo.
Now you got me hungry again.
You got to get you the little chopped up sausage links. Get you a little bit of corn in there if you like it. You know, a little okra.
There you go, guys. I want to bring up I saw a comment from Sacred Grove. I think Sacred Grove is one of your members in your chat, Randy.
Yeah, shout out to my group. They show up and show out when I travel around to other places. So y'all might see some new names in there. That's a great group over there. They know ball.
So I want to read this question. Gunner won't have to pass for 300 a game to succeed. I want to pose this question to Caleb. We'll let you start. Do you agree or disagree with this comment before we move on to the next topic? I want to bring this up because I think it's a good way to end off on the quarterback situation. But I just wanted to see before we move on to our next topic. Caleb, I'll let you start. Do you agree or disagree?
I totally agree. If the offensive line can block and the receivers can seal the edge, our running backs, like y'all been saying, they're going to eat as well. Nate Frazier, y'all know I'm a big Nate Frazier fan, and I really think we're going to be able to run the ball, and I think that's what we're going to look to do. You know, the last few years we've been kind of a pass first. I think we're going to be more of a run first team this year, and I think if they can block, Gunner can throw for 200, 225 yards, and we'll win. So, yeah, I agree with him 100%.
Keon, I'm gonna let you go, and then I'll let Randy finish this off. Actually,
so what was the question? If you don't mind putting,
does Gunner have to throw for 300 yards a game to succeed?
No, I think if he throws for 300 yards in any game this year, we probably beat that opposing team by at least 10 points. Like at least,
yeah.
Because I mean, honestly, guys. I don't know what everybody's expectation is out of this season. Expect us to run the ball like a good portion. I think, and that's not just going to be us. I think any and every team in this conference that's starting a new quarterback, if you can't run the ball, you are dead in the water this season.
That should apply about anywhere, though, to be honest, except the Big 12 for some reason. It's weird. But
but especially in this conference. The SEC is a conference that when it comes to offenses, this is a conference that prides itself on being able to ground and pound their opponent. And because you got to think, we were one of the last conferences to start throwing the football, let alone, I think if you're going to be successful this year with a new starting quarterback, you're going to have to be able to run the ball effectively and efficiently.
I know the last season talk is over now, but I do think it was impressive. It was really impressive for how Kirby handled this coaching job last year with the inability to run the ball effectively. You get an effective running game. If you're telling me if Gunner throws for 200 to 250, I do think you need to counterbalance, in my opinion. I want to say that if you throw for 200 to 250, I would love to see some running attempts in there. I'm not as focused on his yards per game, more so than I'm his percentage of the offense he's responsible for. I want to see that increase. So whether it be passing or running game, I think Bobo has to utilize him in the running game. It's going to keep defenses honest. It won't allow them to crash. And again, that opens up the opportunity for him to rely on the run game because lanes aren't getting crashed on every single play. And so it's complementary offense and complementary football in general. But if you have an established running game, we've obviously, we know Nate Frazier being freshman last year coming in the summer to be asked to do that much. But now you've seen the emergence of Chauncey Bowens. You've heard a lot about Bo Walker, which I'm extremely excited about. You've still got the veteran presence in Roderick, right, coming off the injury. Hopefully he can show, some perseverance there and get back into form as well. You've got McCray coming in from Illinois. If everybody's healthy there's no reason for you to need to throw 300 a game. I would love to see 300 a game here and there, but definitely not on average.
Right.
Randy, I'm gonna let you finish this off.
Yeah, I absolutely not. Gunnar does not have to throw for 300 yards for Georgia to be successful, to be a championship football team, because nothing's changed. The SEC is a line of scrimmage league. And if Georgia is better, if they've got the improvement that they believe they have on the lines of scrimmage this year, then they're not going to ask Gunnar to do that. There are opportunities on the schedule for it to potentially get into a shootout, right? We saw it happen last year at Alabama, although we got there in a weird kind of way. But there are opportunities where the Dogs are going to have to go score. So he has to be able to push the ball down the football field and put it in the end zone. But do they need him to show up and do that every week? No, absolutely not. I'm with you guys. The sweet spot for me is anywhere between 200 to 250, just like you said. I mean, I can remember many a game where Stetson was somewhere around 215, 260, something like that. And Georgia was doing just fine. So that's all he needs to be. And more, I would much rather see Gunnar be more efficient in converting third downs than he is throwing the ball down the field for 300 yards every game, right? Give me a higher percentage of conversion rate on third down over a 300-yard Saturday for Gunnar Stockton every day of the week.
Facts.
I think I was about to say, I think that's an excellent way to wrap that little piece up here. I want to transition though to some news that's going to be impacting Georgia and the conference. And that's the recent news that that the SEC is moving to 9 games. So you're looking at 3 permanent rivals and then 6 rotating. And I think that's honestly, I'm a proponent of that, right? I think that model with a 9-game makes too much sense, right? So I'm glad that that is the case. But I want to pose this question, and we're going to debate this question. I saw this immediately after the news broke that a bunch of people on social media, the figureheads and things, were talking about. I saw Greg Sankey bent the knee to the Big Ten. I'm under the impression that that's not the case. But I want to pose this question: did the SEC bend the knee to the Big Ten and their demands for the 9-game conference schedule? Why or why not? Whoever wants to start.
No, absolutely not. And let me tell you why. Because our biggest thing, and when I say I'm saying Greg Sankey, his biggest thing is that he looked at last year, he looked at some of the top brands in the conference and said, okay, well, wait a second, these teams got left out. And you know what? He didn't want that to happen again. What did he do? He said, okay, look, if you want us to go to a 9-game conference schedule, I need guarantees that strength of schedule is going to be the number one focus, and it's going to be the number one metric that the college football committee goes off of. And I need 4 guaranteed slots for my teams. I need 4 guaranteed slots for my guys. And I think, because I yet again, another conversation I had with Rob off air, I went and looked up the top 25 strength of schedule last year. The SEC has 16 teams. Since I've talked to Rob about it, Caleb, Randy, I want you to guess, out of the 16 teams, how many of them were in the top 25? Randy, go first.
So how many of the 16 toughest schedules were in the top 25?
No. How many of the 16 SEC teams were in the top 25?
Oh, in strength of schedule. Gotcha.
Yes.
Yeah. I would say it's easily over 10. So I would maybe settle somewhere around 12, maybe 14, because that's just the depth of the league.
Caleb?
What about you, Caleb?
I'm going to say 13 on the dot.
13 on the dot was it.
Yeah.
Out of the 16 teams in our conference, 13 of them were in the top 25 toughest strength of schedule in the nation. So if you're telling me that's what it is off of just an 8-game conference schedule, a 9-game conference schedule, our whole conference is going to be there. And that's just what it comes down to. So it's like, okay, the SEC is now positioning themselves in ways of which we're going to be sitting at the top when it comes to strength of schedule. And I did like, because there was another report that said Georgia, I believe it was Kentucky, South Carolina, and Florida all came together and had a separate conversation with Greg Sankey and telling them, hey, look, if we're going to implement a 9-game conference schedule, everybody in our conference has to play either an extra Big 10 team, ACC team, or a Big 12 team.
Yeah, Power 4. Yeah.
Yeah, it has to be Power 4. And because, you look at those teams, you look at Georgia, you look at Florida, you look at Kentucky, you look at South Carolina.
Yeah.
South Carolina plays Clemson every year. Florida plays Miami and Auburn, or Miami and Florida State. You got Kentucky with Louisville. You got us with Georgia Tech.
South Carolina and Clemson is just crazy for South Carolina's perspective, though. But yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I can understand that level being applied to it too.
But you also throw in the fact that they would either play another Power 4 or Notre Dame. Let's not forget Notre Dame. Let's not forget. Yeah.
Even though everybody else has it. Like, that's a whole nother separate argument. I feel like since the SEC, me personally, Randy, you let me know how you feel on this, because these guys have heard me rant about this before. SEC moved to a 9-game conference schedule. Mm-hmm. Notre Dame should have to move into a conference, whether it be Big 10 or ACC. It should have to happen. It should have to happen, because
Can I interject? Instead of maybe joining a conference, how about you not duck USC?
I think USC's ducking them.
I actually, you know what? Notre Dame fans that find that, I'm in agreement now. I take my statement back.
I think USC is ducking them.
No, I do too. Lincoln Riley, aggressively ducking smoke. 100%.
I know I took this off on a tangent, but I apologize.
But no, let's get back. Let's regroup, folks. Let's regroup. Chat, we're going to regroup here. Caleb, I'm going to pose the question to you. Did the SEC bend the knee?
Nah, I actually, Keon really took my last point when he went with the Power 4, adding the Power 4 team. So pretty much going to piggyback off of him. I don't think we've bent a knee, though. I don't think the SEC bends a knee to anybody. So that's basically what I got to say.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. And Keon hit the points. He hit the ones about, if they go to, now that they're in the 9-game schedule, which is what everybody's been bitching about my entire life. Now that we're here, these things were never the same, right? The SEC schedule and how it ranks power-wise was never the same. Those other schools were just being the way they were being because they weren't winning national titles for 20 years, right? So they were just being petty. That's what it was. Now, Sankey's not going to make any move unless it benefits the SEC directly. Keon pointed out how it's going to do that. And he also pointed out that teams like Georgia already play that Power 4 opponent. So you can't even come at them and say, well, look at who's on the schedule that's not in the conference. Clearly, you've got teams like Georgia who will go above and beyond, because not only do you have a Georgia Tech on the schedule every year out of another power conference, but they routinely, whenever possible, schedule marquee matchups because Kirby understands branding and national recruiting and all those things. So if you're going to stack the deck the way a team like Georgia stacks the deck and then, go try to beat those football teams, then yeah, you have to be rewarded for that. So Sankey did what any good agent does, which is all he is for the SEC. And he did a good job of it. He said, guess what, ESPN, you're about to pay me. If you're going to pay me, then we'll get that 9th game. Don't worry, Kentucky, Arkansas, South Carolina, middle of the tier teams here who won 8 games, we're going to get you paid. So that's the first thing he did. The second thing he did is said, yeah, we're going to 9 games and we're going to double down on it with that Power 4 game. So now everybody knows, nobody wants to say it, everybody knows they're going to expand this thing to 16 games. When they do, you get into the 5-11 schedule. You take the top 5 power rated teams or the top 5 ranked teams, right? There's a good chance in any given year, 3 of those top 5 are going to be SEC schools. Now you've got 11 at-large bids with a strength of schedule, like Keon pointed out here in the SEC, right? So now South Carolina, who might be hanging out at 9 wins, now they're in the playoff too. And Arkansas or LSU or maybe Texas A&M. You know what I mean? That's exactly what Keon was talking about. So not only did Sankey get more money, not only did he raise like the brand, he also said, okay, Big Ten, we did this because you had been holding out, you petty little bugs. You've been holding out. We answered the bell and more. So when we go to the 5-11, don't be sitting over there saying we're not going to consider it. He put the onus back on them, in other words. So when we get there, the Big Ten, not that they care about appearances necessarily, but if there is going to be an appearance of anybody running or ducking or not being cooperative, it's going to be the Big Ten. Sankey played it perfectly, in my opinion.
I'm glad nobody brought this up. Greg Sankey sat here at SEC Media Days, played it off, right? He got asked about it a lot.
Yeah.
And with SEC Media Days happening first, sat back, didn't really do anything, nothing too crazy. But he sat back afterwards and he watched the Big Ten, the ACC, just take shot after shot after shot at the SEC. The last time I checked, the ACC just lost to a one-legged Hawaiian quarterback. But I digress.
Right.
Indiana is pulling apparently the SEC model. Buddy, you ain't played a damn Power 4 program in years. Stop with it. We are not the same. We're not the same. To answer the question, the SEC did not bend the knee. If anything, they did the exact opposite. You took and Greg Sankey sat back, let them fire off their shots to then say, we're going to go to 9 conference games. We're getting the 5-11 model. Watch the SEC get 4 for sure, potentially up to 6. Think about it. If the 5-11 happened last year, there's 6 SEC teams in there.
Yep.
And that's exactly why Greg Sankey is not only a genius, but wait, there's more.
There is more, and I've got to talk about it too.
There's more, and there's more on 2 accords. Let's talk about it. They're going to expand playoffs to what, 14, 16?
Well, if the Big Ten had their way, you're looking at 24, but that's ridiculous.
If you go anything past 16 games, you got to start taking away weeks of the season. That's just what
it's
that
not
is.
Worth that to my. Hear me out though. Going back to my point, Greg Sankey sat back and took everything. Now it's an even playing field. Georgia's got 9 conference games starting in 2026. Big Ten does. Every other conference that will do that. There's the non-con schedule. Every SEC team is going to have a Power 4. But at the same time, let the SEC continue winning championships. What's the excuse for any other conference? I'll wait. While I wait, also, it's a money grab, and I'll tell you why. 1, 9-game conference, it's about to be a ridiculous payout. ESPN's about to pay a substantial amount more. It's going to be stupid. Watch. It's going to be stupid.
Wait until they add new teams to the conference and then go back to the table and renegotiate again.
But hi, Billy Mays here. But wait, there's more. You re-up the contract.
Mm-hmm.
Then you go for conference realignment. Hey, by the way, you took the money for the 9 games. Now you add more money because you got different teams in the conference. But 2 opportunities for money, substantial raises. About to get nasty. I want to ask this though, Randy. We talked about the SEC and the 9 games, the 3 permanent rivals. We me, Keon, and Caleb posted our predictions for who the 3 rivals would be for Georgia, right? Caleb and Keon had Auburn, Florida, South Carolina. My projection was Auburn, Florida, Kentucky. If you had to make a prediction right now, who are your 3 rivals that you think end up being for Georgia?
It has to be, for me, it has to be Florida That's non-negotiable. Auburn is like 1A non-negotiable. And then I think it would be Kentucky. That's not who I would want. It's not who, based on the polls I've been running over on my stuff over the last week, that's not who the people want, right? But I think that's who it's going to be.
I've been under the impression that the SEC is going to have to find rivalries for teams like Kentucky and South Carolina and Missouri. I think Missouri maybe not as much, but is that the reasoning for it?
Well, I think it's important to remember that was the language that was used, but rivalry is not what it is. Like, they want to preserve the traditional rivalries that are true. So Georgia, Florida, right? Georgia, Auburn. Those, Georgia, Auburn is the acorn of the SEC, like all of it, right? You have to play that game. Alabama, Auburn, Alabama, Tennessee, right? So when you start to look at all of the other teams and how the puzzles have to fit together, then you can get a little squirrely. I think Kentucky, if you're a Georgia fan, Kentucky is a game that you can live with because you've played them a long time. They're an original member. It's a great road trip if you're a dog person. Nobody wants to go to Hell's Armpit and play South Carolina in September.
The concrete jungle will call Williams-Brice. That shit's hot.
If you're just a Georgia fan, you don't want to make that trip. I mean, I understand it can be cool, but that's not a trip you are like, yeah, let me do it. And kind of the same thing can be said for Rocky Top. I've been to Rocky Top, done it. It's cool, but the trip to Kentucky is more fun. In my world, the two names I hear that hasn't been mentioned here tonight, the other one would be Tennessee. It's always South Carolina or Tennessee. South Carolina is a bigger game for the South Carolina people than it's ever been for the Georgia people. But the proximity of the two schools makes it a bit of a rock fight, which is cool. And then Tennessee is not a traditional rival of Georgia's. That was brought together because of conference play where we split the league, right? So you had an East and a West. That's how Tennessee even came to be part of our world, right? So that's that. Kentucky, they've played, it's not like there's a traditional rivalry with Kentucky. It's just that if you have to pick another school, I like Kentucky there. Is it the one I would pick? No. If I were picking it for the one I wanted, it would probably be the South Carolina game, just because I like the rock fight nature of that game. Like they love to hate Georgia, and Georgia loves to be like, go away. That's just, that adds to the angst. But I can totally see that it would be Kentucky if the league is choosing.
Well, I want to read some comments. I'm going to have to do this real fast, and then we're going to get back to it. Neo asks, can Florida beat Georgia? It's been a long time. No. To hell with Auburn, Tennessee, anybody not named Georgia in that order.
Also, I do want to reply to the last one where they were talking about, do they think Florida can beat us? No, and let me tell you why. Because let me tell you why. Their roster is nowhere near as deep as what people think they are. They have a good set of starters on their list, right. But also let's also keep it all the way honest. This is Florida's chance. Now, if I'm a Florida fan looking at this, I'm saying, yeah, we got a shot. We were so close. This, that, and the third. But I'm not a Florida fan. I'm not delusional. So let's be honest with each other. That was Carson Beck's worst game as a Georgia Bulldog. Please find me another game from anybody, whether it be here on the panel or in the comments, where you can go through and find a worse game for Carson than that one. You'd be hard pressed. And not just looking at the picks. Oh, well, he threw 3 picks or 4 picks. No, look at the play. Every play where Carson Beck threw an interception against Florida, there were players that were underneath that were wide open.
I've never seen the underneath defender be the bane of someone's existence more so than that game.
On a guy who was just 365 days ago, so maybe 730 days ago, was being accused of being Mr. Safety Net, Mr. Check Down. You don't take the check down at all in this game. Worst game as a Bulldog, 100%. Florida's roster is nowhere near as deep as what they think it is. And let's also be honest, they lose at least half of their depth by the end of this season end. This time next year, Florida's going to be damn near out there with a whole new roster, whole new offensive line, whole new defensive line. You're talking about maybe a linebacker and a DB, if not two, that are going to be gone because they're going off to the draft.
All right, so letting the Florida fans know to clip that just in case. I don't think it's going to come true. I think Keon's right. Also, I'm just waiting for the first Florida fan to come find this.
Also, their strength and conditioning coach came from my New York Football Giants, which has made my life a living hell over the last 7-8 years. So I'm glad that person is no longer employed by the New York Football Giants, and I'm gratefully, and I thank the God above every single night that he is at the University of Florida. Let's go ahead and move on. I'm sorry, I had to just get that out there.
No, I had to let Keon cook right there. Chef Keon with the pot.
Yeah.
No, I saw Neil also mention Bama in regards to the the three rivalries. The SEC will not allow that simply because they want more teams in the playoffs. So I think you see it structurally play out to where it gives the rivalries, right, that built like the true rivalries, Iron Bowl, Cocktail Party, Deep South Sodas rivalry. I think Texas and A&M, I think obviously the Red River is going to stay put. I think you're going to see those rivalries stay put, but cook things in to try to give you the best opportunistic advantage to get more teams in the playoffs. Yes, you're playing 9 games, right? I still think that they're going to try to do, at least from the permanent standpoint, balance it out, right? If it means manufacturing rivalries, right? I think there's an opportunity to create new rivalries based off of this, given this opportunity. So I think you're going to see that. But again, I think it boils down to getting more teams in the playoffs. The 6 random teams, obviously that's another story. But, your 3 permanents, right? If you get a balanced shot, you're not going to give Tennessee, Bama, you're not going to give them Bama, Florida, and Georgia. It'd be absolutely nuts. So you're going to see the balance out. It's going to feel weird at first. It will play itself out in the long run.
Right. It's about getting guys in the dance. That's what it comes down to. And again, let's not get hung up on the word rivalry, right? That's just the language that was used. The 3 permanent opponents, right? And the more rivalries that can be maintained, then good on them. So it's like you said, Texas A&M, the Red River Shootout, the Cocktail Party, the Iron Bowl, right? There are certain games you got to play. And then the rest of them, let's just get good matchups, try to let everybody breathe a little bit, in there so that you're not like drowning your team every year. Because if you're Georgia, we've already walked through it. The 9-game schedule is going to be whatever it is. And then they're still going to play Tech, and they're still going to be scheduling other Power 4 teams in these neutral site games, right? So, they don't need that perennial power as a 3rd game in that trifecta there of permanent opponents.
Absolutely. Let's transition here from the SEC back into the realm of Dog Nation. It's time to go through our depth chart. We're going to walk you through our depth chart projections here. And if we need to have internal debate, so be it. Let's start off with the offense. I want to start offensively first. I think when it comes down to it, we're going to try to do this somewhat quickly, but if we have to talk about it, we talk about it. So be it. Before we do though, make sure to like, follow, and subscribe wherever you're watching. Because hey, we got you on Twitter X, we've got you on our YouTube, and we've got you on Randy's YouTube. So wherever you are, like, follow, and subscribe. Simple enough. It's free. With that being said, we start at the quarterback position. No question, Gunnar Stockton. I think the question is the backup spot. Everybody thinks Puglisi, but Ryan Montgomery has had I would say, a very good fall camp. And really, for that matter, all the way from the spring through, right? Finally getting coming off the ACL injury, right? The news that Puglisi's still kind of being turnover prone in practice, guys. There's a lot of people that want Pug to be the starter. Watch out for Montgomery.
God.
Watch out for Montgomery. Depending on how things go, not saying it will, I think Puglisi will be, but there's a possibility, depending on any given week of practice, your backup could be Montgomery if he's ready. Not saying he will be, but turning the football over is a huge no-no for Kirby Smart, especially him being a defensive-minded guy and the complementary football he plays. Turning the football over on offense is a huge no-no. Huge no-no.
Randy, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
In your circles, whether it be on your podcast or just people you talk to, are you hearing anybody that's clamoring for Ryan Puglisi to be our starter coming into this season?
Oh, there are people who run into my comments and inform me dead away. They're straight away. They're like, he's absolutely better than Gunnar Stockton. And I'm like, okay, buddy.
Brother, hear me clearly, please.
Yeah.
If Ryan Puglisi is our starter this year, we are winning at max 8 games.
Right.
At max.
Right. To Rob's point there, to me, this is not a discussion.
Right.
You've got Gunnar, Ryan, who, and this one was fluid. Ryan was, the scuttlebutt was early spring, like leading into spring practice. Maybe he's going to push. Maybe there's going to be a real competition there. Maybe it's going to be closer than we think it is. And then they got on the grass. And the fact that Gunnar Stockton's been there for 4 years in the same system, there was a clear separation there. Doesn't mean that Ryan Puglisi's not talented or he isn't going to be that dude. It just means that 4 years is 4 years. Okay.
Right.
And so as we moved out of spring and into fall camp, that was the situation. It felt like a pretty good gap there. But to his credit and to the drum I've been pounding, he has to compete and he has to improve because Gunnar, because of the style of play he has, is, the potential is there that he's going to miss a snap or two or a series or two across the course of the season. You need Ryan ready to go. So it was incumbent on him to compete every day, work really hard, and try to close that gap and be the best number 2 he can be. What I have heard is that the game is really slowing down for him. It's starting to come together, and he is making that movement. Doesn't mean he's challenging as the starter. It means that he is positioning himself to be a quality number 2. For Ryan Montgomery, I love everything I hear about this kid. He seems to have a feel and a vibe about him that he knows how to play the quarterback position. He can make every throw. But let's go back to what I said in the beginning. The separation on experience and time in the system. Ryan's been set back because of his leg injury. It's just a fact. Once they get on the grass together and they get to compete and he has another year to heal and learn, you could have one hell of a battle between Ryan Puglisi and Montgomery come next spring. But guess who's coming into the room in December? Jared Curtis. You want to know the story, the only story that's going to have any kind of oxygen once we get to January, February, it's going to be who's going to be quarterback for the Georgia Bulldogs. Because if this season goes well, Gunnar's already been there 4 years. He might just decide to move on or however it goes, right? Hopefully he wins and can ride off into the sunset. But that story next spring is all there is, because everything else on this team is young this year, will be experienced and coming back. It's going to be who's the trigger guy heading into 26. So that discussion, let's just put it on the shelf, because right now it's Gunnar, it's Pugs, and then Montgomery's back there, and everybody's getting better. And oh, by the way, here comes the 5-star from Tennessee.
For sure.
I have a take, and it might be too early for this take. I personally don't believe that Jared Curtis is sitting on that bench for 2 years. I don't know what's gonna happen. I could be flat out wrong. Let me just put that out there, because I am not above being wrong. But I personally don't believe that Kirby just went and secured the number 2, which at the time was the number 1 quarterback in the nation, again, to then have him sit on the bench for 2 years. And by year 2, he's going to be making well over $1 million on the bench. I just don't believe it. And I think, honestly, me personally, and yet again, it might be too early, Randy. Might be way too early. I could just be talking nonsense. And if I am, let me just say, I'm just talking nonsense. But
we haven't even mentioned, by the way, Milliner, who's a fantastic athlete. We hadn't even mentioned the walk-on, who is more than capable in Ginn.
Yeah.
Right.
Culture again. Yeah.
You got that room is very, very deep. In my mind, the odd man out is either going to be Puglisi or Montgomery. Those two will go head to head. One of them will win, and then Curtis is coming for the other one. And that's how it'll go. That person will start, and then the other one will probably transfer out, which don't blame me at all, kid. I mean, you got to go play. And
especially in today's world. In today's world.
And that's the way they'll settle it on the grass. And then here comes Curtis, and he'll push just like I'm talking about right now. He will push and learn and grow. I don't see Kirby starting a true freshman ever, unless he absolutely has to, right? If you have to, so be it. If the dude is all that and is undeniable, so be it. But that's not the plan. So that's not what Kirby's wanting to happen, because every sign points to the fact that Puglisi is that dude. It's just not yet. Right now, you've got that dude. Right. And to that point, I can't speak to all of them, but from the second scrimmage, I heard that the interceptions that I don't know that he had more than one. So let's be fair now. This is all secondhand, right? So, but the interception that he did have wasn't one where he made that bad a read. It was off a dude's hand, didn't make the catch. But so it's that kind of stuff. It's not like they were just throwing it to the other dude. So, but again, I didn't see it, right? So it's all hearsay, secondhand. But that's just how I see it shaking out. But again, as soon as we get through the end of the season, you won't be able to think Georgia football unless you're thinking about the quarterback position.
For sure. Let's move to the running backs, guys. We know Nate Frazier, so let's talk about this. Give your projection. Who is the RB2 to start the season?
Bo Walker.
RB2 for Bo Walker. Okay.
All right. That's the question. That's the question. I mean, it's McCray didn't come here to not play. Rod Robinson, it's go year. You got to be healthy and show us, man. And then you've got Chauncey Bowens, who I've been talking about for months, saying, I'm telling you, people, Chauncey Bowens is going to earn some snaps this year, more than you probably think. And let's not forget Cash Jones. Kirby said it today from the podium. This is a committee. We all love Nate, but nobody's going to end up with more than 15, 20 carries. If they get to 20, then they are just like riding the horse for some reason. I don't even know.
It's a game plan where you saw that running the ball was going to be that style.
Right. And nobody's going to get those kind of carries. So, Cash has got third down on lock. You got to get Dwight Phillips in there because of the things he can do. I just don't know. If Nate's tired, who do I think they wave in? Probably, I'm going to say Bowens. But I would love to say that would be Rod Robinson. But I just haven't heard that about Rod. I've heard he's healthy. I've heard he looks good. But, what do you do when the band's playing? So far, I've heard more about Chauncey Bowens. So I would go with Chauncey, and that's not a slight towards Bo Walker in any way. I hear
no.
Deal.
Yeah, and I was really big on Chauncey coming out. I mean, there's so much to me about Chauncey that kind of reminds me of like a Nick Chubb, because he is a monster in the weight room. I don't know if y'all like had the chance to see like any of his workout videos. I mean, he's a straight up mule. Like it's crazy.
Caleb, who is your RB2? I think everybody here, like I said, for those in the chat, for those listening or watching, Nate Frazier is the guy. But who is your RB2 come Marshall game?
I'd probably go with Josh McCray. I like what I've seen on film. I like his tape at Illinois, big bruiser guy. Go along with the slash of Nate Frazier. I'm going with McCray to start the season anyway.
I'm going to go Bowens. No need for comment. Just going to go Bowens. We move to the receiving room. Who are the – it's so subjective because there's obviously multiple packages that could go out. So let's do this. Start off your X, your Z, and your slot. I'll go first on this one. My X, okay. Colby Young. No, excuse me. I'll go Noah Thomas, but it's probably going to be Colby. The fact that you've got two is going to be beautiful to watch, though. Just giving that food for thought there. So it's going to be either one of those guys. Hopefully. I'm going Zachariah Branch at the slot. And I'm going the other. I think London Humphreys could start at Z. There's a reason why he got that blue cap. And I think you're going to see it pay off with him getting more touches earlier. Listen, he's fast as hell too. So if you give me, it's hard for really think about this because if you want to put Noah and Colby with Zachariah Branch, you can do it. If you want to put Noah Thomas as the X with London and Zachariah Branch, two speed demons, there you go. If you want to put Sokovie White, in place of Zachariah Branch, and then you want to move, there's so many options, right? So many options. But if I had to choose a three, I'm going Noah, I'm going Colby, I'm going Noah, I'm going Zachariah Branch at slot, and then I'm going London Humphreys at the Z. Caleb, I'm gonna let you go. Yeah, I was about to say I'm gonna let you go next, Caleb.
You really took mine because I'd mentioned London earlier in the podcast, but it's crazy to me that nobody's talking about Dylan Bell. I know he had some issues last year, but Dylan Bell's stuck through Georgia through thick and thin. He's seen people jump over him, clawed his way back into the lineup. I don't think he's gonna start, but Dylan Bell's gonna be in there regularly. Dylan Bell's a gamer, man. Whether it's like y'all said, even mentioned him playing some running back. Y'all keep sleeping on my boy Dylan Bell, and it's aggravating me. So that's all I wanted to put in there because who the hell knows who's going to be on the field at any time.
Yep, Keon, who's your three receivers?
My three will be Noah, Colby, and Zachariah. I think you're gonna have Noah at X. You're gonna see Colby at Y, and then you'll have
Z.
No, I'm sorry.
Y is tight end.
My bad. But those will be my starting three that I put out there. You could I do see the London Humphreys swap, but at that point we're just going size and we're just head topping everybody. Like that's something else I don't think like a lot of our fans are also aware of as well. We got like the tallest wide receiver room in the conference. Like
crazy.
Nobody else is coming in with this. You got Noah Thomas, who's the height of damn near two tight ends that we got on roster, and one of them is 6'7". So it's kind of crazy.
Randy, who are your three before we move to the offensive line?
Matchups matter. I would just take Keon's three, but I would say if there's a change up there, Dylan Bell deserves to be on the field as much as possible. And I would say the guy that I've been talking about a lot this year is Sokovie White there in the slot. I think Zach's going to have an impact for Georgia. I want him to show me he can do it at the slot. I expect him to have a huge impact on special teams, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if even London bumped inside to play a little bit of slot too, right there instead of Zach. But if I got to pick three, I'll take Keon's three and let the matchups dictate the rest.
There you go. Now comes the fun part. Here's how we're gonna do the offensive line. We'll give it. Let's let democracy decide. Do we want to break it out one by one, or do we want to give our starting 5 for each 4? Randy, you're the guest. Actually, you're the guest. I'll let you decide.
Okay, so I think I can run across the board here and tell you who I think is going to be out there first. Let's go with Mr. Flexible out at left. What's his name? I forget his name. Thank you. Monroe Freeling out at left tackle. We're going to have Micah at left guard. Bobo's your center. Juan Gaston's your right guard. And then we're going to have Ernest Green out at the right tackle there.
That's a solid. Keon, we're going to go clockwise. We're going to go clockwise. So Randy started. Keon, who's your starting 5?
I mean, he just gave it to you yet again. I would go Monroe Freeling at left, Micah at left guard. You have Bobo at center, Juan, of course, at right guard, and just like you said, Big Earn at right tackle. I think that is our best offensive line, me personally.
Caleb, what's your starting 5?
I'm going to stick with them, but I'm going to put Daniel Calhoun at right guard with a very short leash. Very short leash, but I'm going to put Daniel Calhoun at right guard to start.
I'm going to keep the same except for Michael Unai will be the right guard. However, Juan Gaston will play. He will play early. And then the question is, it's not a matter of if, but when he takes someone's job. And more than likely, it's going to be either Michael or somebody at right guard. Yeah. But if there's any injuries, he's going to slide in. He's going to slide in unless it's a center position, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it's like I said earlier, I think all 4 of those dudes are going to play there at guard, honestly.
Right.
I think Uni's going to play on the left behind Micah, and then you've got Calhoun and Gaston there on the right side. I just really I love that group, man. I wish Gunner was a little bit taller because those dudes are huge and they're going to have to sink those hips.
Great Wall of Georgia for real.
I know he's going to have to sink those hips so he can throw the ball over the middle there. They got to get down for him, but yeah, that's a big group right there.
Low pad level.
Mm-hmm.
Let's switch over to the defense. I think the offense is set. I like everybody's line up there. For this, let's start off we'll work interior of the line and work out. So your defensive tackles, I'll start first, then we'll work clockwise again. I think you're going to see Christian Miller. I think that's going to be your defensive tackle. And then, in my opinion, I think you're going to see Xavier McLeod. Those are my 2 defensive tackles. When it comes to a nose tackle, it's going to be Nnamdi Egboka. Watch out for Nasir Johnson, but I think Nnamdi is going to be that guy when it comes to being a pure zero tech nose. Who that's going to be. Do we want to work interior, or should I go ahead and give my outside end guys as well?
Well, I can be quick. Mine would be the same as yours right there. So
right.
I mean, it depends on what you want to call Jordan Hall. Like I could see McLeod and Hall swapping right there, but it's where are you going to put them? Are you going to put them zero? You're going to put them at 3I. How are you going to play them? So,
guys, got to backtrack. Forgot the tight end position. One of the most loaded positions. Just one of the most loaded rooms on the roster. We just overlook that. Sacred Grove here. You got Lucky and Delp. Listen, it's going to be in 2s here. Lucky and Delp, right? Then you got Riddell and I think Elias.
Yeah, I think people have forgotten about Colton Heinrich. As a good player.
He's more of a situational blocker, but yes.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good player. But I think Williams has made so much noise over the last 3 weeks that he might be situational, especially, near the goal line. But that's a guy that seems like he's going to be on the field a little bit this year.
That's a big fucking human. I mean, I'm sorry, but that's LeBron James with a G. With a power G on his head. Like, that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
Caleb, I'm assuming you're in agreement.
I don't know. He's massive, man. That's crazy.
All right. So now that the tight end room has been settled, let's go back. Randy, you just talked about it. We talked about Christian Miller, Xavier McLeod, and Nnamdi Egboka there. Obviously, there's a ton of D-line guys, but projection for starters – we'll pass it to Keon to get back on track. Keon, what are your defensive tackles and your nose tackle looking like for you?
I mean, it's pretty much like Randy's. Like I said, if anything, I might swap out Jordan Hall with McLeod.
Okay,
but
I like that. I like it.
But I mean, it's pretty much the same there.
Caleb, what are your thoughts? I will say this: Elijah Griffin is going to be a difference maker as a freshman. You heard it here. You heard it here first.
All right. What are we calling them? You know what I mean? Are we calling it? I know a D lineman, right? But that's because they can slide them wherever they need to slide them.
You can go anywhere from a 3 tech to a 5.
Right.
If you're not going to see the true 0, but you get what we mean.
Right. And I don't expect him to start, but at least not week 1. But
no.
You know.
Let's move outside. We're going to go D end. We're going to go defensive end and edge, if you'd like. Randy, we'll let you start first, and we'll work around the table here.
I think I'm going to keep it clean, right? I mean, let's say Gabe Harris, right? Put him on one side, and then we'll go with I'm going to go with Chris Jones. Like, I think this is the time for Chris to show up. I mean, it's, you know, there are other guys there, so. But I think that might be how we start. I know Mendoza is out there, but I consider him an outside linebacker, right? Not necessarily a true edge. Isaiah is out there. But again, just what we got, these dudes are the dudes that are going to get the first shot at it, you know, and they'll figure it out after that.
So your focus, and I think for clarification, you have you have Gabe Harris and you have Chris Jones simply because it's on the line, not necessarily off ball.
Right. We're talking about standing
just to be
up.
Clear there.
Yeah.
Keon, I'm gonna pass it around to you, sir. What are your projections?
So I got Gabe Harris starting, but yet again, I do kind of look at Eli. I do kind of look at Mendoza and kind of wonder the same thing. But if we're gonna just put him into that realm as a backer, then we're gonna keep him there. I would say Isaiah Gibson. Well, wait a second. Quintavious Johnson. Quintavious Johnson, and then I'm gonna go Isaiah Gibson in that same space.
So your projection is Gabe, and then Quintavious.
Yeah. Okay. And Q's a good call for sure. He seems to be coming.
God,
yeah. I mean, I don't mean to slight him in any way. I just Q would be a great call there. So Q and Gabe and go from there.
Dude, I've been as high as giraffe ass on Quintavious for a minute now.
Mm-hmm.
Caleb, what's your projection, sir?
I like Keon's projection. I'm going with Q and Gabe as well. I just think those are two athletic freaks that can seal the edge really well.
Listen, Gabe Harris is going to be that kind of guy where he might not come off the field. I think he can be that much of an impact player for this defense. So you have to go Gabe Harris. I'm going to say Quintavious, but I know there are other options. I know Saker Grove said Ajonye, and I can't wait to see him play.
Yeah.
Cannot wait. But I think when you look at last season, that injury to him, that season-long injury, the red shirt, kind of forced him slightly back off a little bit. So give me Quintavious, give me Gabe Harris. We move to the linebackers. Keon, I'm going to let you start. Who are your linebackers?
So you want me to give you the linebackers that I think should be out there, or the linebackers we're going to put out there?
Projections for the two linebackers.
Yeah, of course, give me C.J. Allen. Give me Raylan Wilson. And then, of course, you know what I got behind them, Justin Williams, Chris Cole. You know how high I am on those guys.
Caleb, what's your projection, sir?
Same with him. I mean, that one's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm going CJ Raylan, but I think off ball you have to go Ella.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Ella's going to play. Ella's going to play for sure. Randy, what about you?
Yeah, I think you kind of have to look at that group the way we used to look at Nick and Sony and DeAndre Swift and Todd Gurley and all those dudes, and just be like, yeah, they're all just going to play. They're all just starters. I know only two people could line up, so it would be Allen and Wilson. But all those dudes are going to play. Chris Cole, you kidding me? It's just where you want to deploy him. That's all. I mean, is he going to be the guy you run in there to get after the passer on third down? Or is he going to be off the ball covering dudes in space because he's so athletic? I don't know. But they're all going to play. A whole bunch.
Oh, so, a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. All right, let's move to corner. Everybody, I think we're in agreement here. Cornerback 1, there's no debate. It's Dalen Everett. But cornerback 2, starting Marshall. Caleb, I'm going to let you start. Who is your cornerback 2?
I'm going with Ellis. I know Daniel Harris is trying to fight him off. That's a good battle. I want to see Ellis, so that's where I'm going to go.
I'm going to go Daniel Harris. I'm going to have Ellis right behind him.
That's a good one. I'm going to say shout out the whim. I want Ellis. I think Ellis has had an exceptional fall camp. And really, when it comes down to it, that second scrimmage, there looked to be times where he was in hell. Daniel Harris was. And I think for me, it's the momentum thing. It's the momentum thing, and you have to make that work. You have to just make it work. So, with that being said, I'm looking at Ellis as my cornerback too.
I think Daniel Harris trots out there first.
Okay.
But then I think Ellis is right there. I think it's Ellis's job.
You're going to see him rotate regardless.
Yeah, it's just a matter of time. That's what I think. And the reason I say that is even in the second scrimmage, the only question about Ellis is, can he be physical all the time? I know he's trying, but can he be that guy all the time? And in that second scrimmage, he was still having, especially early in the scrimmage, it just didn't show. Again, secondhand feedback here. But that would be the only reason I would run Daniel out there first. And if he just gets in the game, gets his cleats in the ground, I think it's going to be Ellis soon enough, right? It's just for game 1, give me Daniel.
Fair enough. I'm not even worried about free safety. We know the answer. That's KJ Bolden. We know for a fact. But when it comes to the other safety, the strong safety position, Caleb, I'm going to let you start. Who is your starting strong safety opposite of KJ?
And you gave me the hardest one. Oh.
Was it supposed to be easy?
No. I'm going to go Zion Branch.
Ooh,
I don't know why. I just have a feeling. To be honest. Just a gut feeling.
I'm kind of on – so hear me out. I'm kind of on board with where Saker Gove here is saying, and it's Ja'Cory Thomas. Paid his dues, seniority, might have a short leash, might see a lot of rotation. I think Ja'Cory starts. Listen, you're going to see Zion Branch a lot, and don't sleep on Adrian Maddox, right? There's a potential. We're about to get to the star position. There's a potential you could see Adrian Maddox maybe in the star. Think about that. Long, lanky guy, physical tackler, can cover at the star position. Now, we know the star position, you've got to be understanding of everything. But again, if Adrian Maddox is it would be interesting to see there. So I'm going to go Ja'Cory Thomas. Randy, who do you got?
I think I have to go Ja'Cory Thomas to start, even though I've talked up Maddox a lot recently.
He's so good. He's so long and physical, and I love that in that.
Yeah, I've talked about him a lot. But I think, again, we're talking about starters. I think it's going to be Ja'Cory Thomas. My real intrigue in this whole position is, and I'm not sure if you're going to ask about star, but
we're going there.
Okay. Well, then I guess I'll just swallow the rest of that. I'll just say Ja'Cory Thomas right there. And like you said, there's going to be plenty of rotation.
So now's the perfect time to do it. So we talk about the star position. since you've got something to get off your chest, I'm going to let you continue with your star conversation.
Nice.
Make it easier for you.
I love me some Janelle Aguero. I think he's about to have a big old year. Assuming everything, he's on the field, no injuries or whatever. I think he's just going to have a great year. And when Georgia's good at star, then that defense is pretty dirty. So I think Aguero gives them the best chance to do that. What I wanted to get to, though, that nobody has talked about is DeMelo Jones. The kid's going to play. Where?
He gets so overlooked.
Is he going to rotate in at star?
Ellis and Daniel Harris. He gets so overlooked.
Right. Is he going to rotate in at star because there's not enough reps at corner? Or how are they going to play it? Because he's not – they're going to get him on the field somewhere. It's just how's that going to go down? I'm very interested to see what they do with him.
So for me, I do think it's Aguero's job to lose. Like Sacred Grove says, he's just reading my mind right now. However, on situational passing downs where we feel it's very obvious, I'm going to make my shot here. Dalen Everett will slide to the star. You will have Daniel Harris. You will have Ellis Robinson at the corners, right? And you'll have Dalen Everett in the slot, in the nickel spot. That's just what I'm feeling. I think you'll see that. I think you could see it week 1. But for me, I think it's Aguero. And again, I think you can see depending on things. Honestly, these first 2 games, you could see situational packages where they're rotating to experiment.
Mm-hmm.
So, like with the star, we think it's Aguero to start. Who's to say they don't slide Adrian Maddox down there and see how he can handle stuff? Maybe they put DeMelo Jones there. Maybe they put Dalen there and let the corners cook on the outside. Like I said, maybe outside of said third down passing situation. Nobody knows.
What you puzzled out there at the beginning, where you had Daniel Harris and Ellis on the field at the same time. I like that. Except not Harris, Jones.
You think DeMelo?
Yeah.
They both, like, the crazy thing about it is all 3 of them, but I think what you're seeing, and we saw this last season, when they put DeMelo and they put Ellis, those look like NFL corners in Georgia uniforms.
Yeah.
They both look like it. So I don't think necessarily you can go wrong. I think what's going to happen is the rotation there will be dictated by practice. And I think Kirby's alluded to this all off season, so to this point, and it's going to continue. Practice matters. So every practice, the momentum switches over, and you can get it factored into the game plan.
Listen, people can say it's coach speak all you want, but today from the podium, he made reference to that. He said, "I told these guys 2 days ago that you've got 3 games before the game." He's like, every day at practice. How you practice is determining who's going to play, because they were asking him about the 2s and the 3s and all that. And he's like, I don't think about it that way. I think about it in terms of who is playing the best, and that determines the pecking order about that day, right? In the lead up to the game, that determines the pecking order of who gets in the game first. So it's not like you're penciled in. I mean, everybody has to have a chart, right? But that's what he's saying. And Kirby doesn't lie when he comes to the podium. He'll tell you the truth. You might not like it, but he'll tell you the truth. So I think we're going to see all kinds of movement back there on that back end come Saturday.
For sure. Caleb, I'm going to let you answer. What's your star projection?
Y'all handled that well. I want to ask Mr. Trojan, man, over or under 4.5 wins for USC. And I'm going to keep it at that.
There'll be over 4 wins.
I'm just trolling, bro. Let me have it. I'm a troll.
You know what? Listen, that's on me. That's on me. My bad. My bad.
You've seen my content. You know how it goes.
Of course. Of course. No. So when it comes to that right there, the secondary, I feel like there's a ton of depth there. Right? You brought in a ton of transfers in the safeties room. You've got to try to feed those guys, right? Zion had his moments. Adrian Maddox has had moments, and you've heard things. So in my opinion, that's all good. It's just a matter of who's soaking in the defense the best, the calls, the plays, and everything. And who's making plays, right? I think you can see a lot of rotation.
Yeah.
And honestly, OG Benny Frank talks about Andre Evans. That's another slept on guy.
So quiet. And that's the dude
It's crazy though.
That's the dude when he signed. I was like, isn't he from Louisiana?
Yes.
Yeah. So the minute he chose to come to Georgia, I was like, see,
Uh-oh.
That's the kind of dude that DBU, right, which is what LSU used to consider themselves. I'm like, that's the kind of dude that used to go lock it down at LSU.
Oh,
and
for sure.
He just came over to Athens.
For sure.
He's, like you said, long, physical. Like, I'll tell you this, and I people were joking about this around SEC media days when the official like media poll came out and like the first team players and stuff preseason. But if Georgia doesn't have like the best special teams in the country, then something is damn wrong, because not only do you have the best specialists, but you've got bodies at wide receiver and in that secondary that you should be able to litter those special teams units with and just have the best, freakiest units you've seen. So if they're not shutting that down, then somebody's not doing a good job.
With Notre Dame game too, special teams struck us. So that's been a preaching point behind the scenes.
Oh,
you know that. I want to do a rapid fire. So that's our depth chart projections. I want to do a rapid fire segment for our Georgia superlative projections and predictions. So I'm going to list off a superlative, and rapid fire we give our answers. We'll go Caleb, me, Randy, in that order. So when I say it as fast as you can, the first thing, boom, pop it up. We'll do a couple of these before we make a couple of show announcements, and then let everybody go and prep for Wednesday's show. First things first, make it easy. This is going to get fun. Leading rusher. Caleb, who you got?
Nate Frazier.
Nate Frazier.
Nate Frazier.
Leading receiver.
Zach Branch.
Colby Young.
Noah Thomas.
Leading sack. Who leads the team in sacks?
Elo, however you say his name.
Christian Miller.
Chris Cole.
Most interceptions.
KJ.
Dalen.
Ellis Robinson.
Oh, this is getting good. This is getting good. Defensive captain.
KJ.
CJ.
CJ.
Offensive captain.
Gunner.
Drew Bobo.
Micah Morris.
Team captain.
Kirby.
Got everybody. I'm going CJ.
Colby Young.
Team MVP.
KJ Bolden.
Dalen Everett.
CJ Allen.
All right, that's our rapid fire. I thought that was intense.
It was. That's why I said Kirby. I went blank.
Yeah, and I was splitting hairs. I'm like, oh no, I already said him. I'm like, I need to look at somebody else.
Hey, listen, that's the fun fact of a rapid fire, right?
Yep.
We got to eat a bunch of different names, a bunch of different options. Listen, somebody will come back here and they're going to hold us to the fire when they come by this. You know that, right?
That's fine.
So be it. So be it. Motivated Dedicated says MVP will be Gunner and Micah is the team captain. Interesting. Sacred Grove says Delp. I think he might be talking about offensive captain, maybe. Not sure. But nonetheless, fun little segment right there. That's a quick rap. I like that rapid fire session. That felt good. That felt good. Anyways, so I want to make sure that everybody's aware. Obviously, since we're going to 2 shows a week, Mondays will be, so I'll give you a breakdown for everybody watching and listening here and where Randy is as well. So obviously we're doing our late night DGD after dark, if you will. Mondays, we're going to typically do our game recaps, right? We're going to give out game balls. And I think we're going to introduce a little segment called Barking Back, where we take hot takes, dumb takes, if you will, from social media. And we're just going to have fun with it, if you will. So we're going to expose these lies, expose these dumb takes each Monday. Now, listen, nobody is off limits. If somebody makes a dumb take that's a Georgia fan, we will expose it. No one is off limits. This is not a Homer segment. If you put something dumb out there, we will find it.
Let me go find my Tennessee fans a screenshot.
Sign me up. So for those listening on X, for those listening on YouTube, do us a favor. Tag the DGD podcast in anything you see dumb, or just send it to our messages, and we'll do the rest. And then Wednesdays. So Wednesdays, we're obviously game previews. We've got a new segment, 3 and Out, where we're going to make sure that you win money. We're going to, me, Caleb, and Keon, we're going to do a 3-leg parlay. Give you our parlay. If you follow us, get you some money. But there's accountability. For each of us, if we miss a leg of the parlay, you will know who missed that leg of the parlay up. Just saying. And then game day picks as well. So we have our game day picks as well. But we need your help. Every weekend on Sunday, we make a Twitter post with each of the 10 matchups for the following week. We need you to do your homework and come in and vote on those polls, because the brigade has their say, and we use those polls for who you think will win those games. So make sure you're following and subscribing on our Twitter so that you get those polls and you go vote. Right? And they say voting matters. It does, because you don't want Florida State to beat Bama, do you? Exactly. But that's just kind of a touch up on what we're doing for the season. Randy, I want to pose this to you. I know you've been doing we've all done content throughout the year. It doesn't stop for us. What are some folks that my viewers can expect over on your channel? Can you give us a rundown of some content you're doing?
Oh yeah. There's always a lot going on over there. It's pretty standard though. You know, there's the weekly show Wednesdays. That's the live stream, and we have new videos out every Friday. So that handles that part of it. But looking down toward the fall here, we just cranked back up the SEC Powers Hour, which is our Thursday night show where we look across the league. We do all the SEC games and then whatever's interesting around the country, with me and my brother sitting on that one together. So that's fun. So we have the Wednesday live stream for the How About That DawgsCast. We've got the SEC Powers Hour on Thursday nights. And then as we move on down through this thing, depending on where I end up on Saturdays. So I hate to say it that way, but I can't tell you what I don't know. It's a little fluid, but if I'm at the games, then that will be one kind of content, right? Because that'll just be free flowing all day. So you would want, and I would let everybody know, of course. But if I'm not at the games, then we might be doing watch-alongs and stuff like that. So I have to just wait and see. If it works out to where I have to work game day Saturdays at the games, then that'll be one thing. But either way, there's just going to be more stuff than you can keep your eyes on. You know,
I was going to say there is going to be content flowing out of the eyeballs.
Yeah, for real.
This season, for sure. For my folks, whether you're listening, whether you're watching, Randy, tell folks where they can go find your content, please, sir.
Oh, yeah, man. It is simple enough. Everything starts on YouTube for us. But the cool thing is the handle is exactly the same across everything. It is just at HBTFDAWGSCAST everywhere. So it doesn't matter where you want to be. You can find us if you search those letters.
And I've posted it for the viewers there. So I want to challenge my folks from social media to go follow Randy on YouTube, go subscribe. And I want my folks on Twitter, go follow him on Twitter. Just give them a follow and let them know we sent you. That way we know you did your homework.
Nice.
But nonetheless, Randy, thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
Had a great time. I know it's a little bit longer than most of our folks are expecting, but listen, when you get a late night fix and it's actually football to be played Saturday, hey, you make some exceptions.
Well, that's the good thing about YouTube is that if you had to walk away at 1 hour, don't worry. Come on back. Just dial it in and watch it, on the replay. Team replay.
For sure. No, that is a fact. So I know obviously we shared this stream with your crew.
Yeah.
So for those that are watching on Randy's stream, if you want a late night fix for Dog Talk, make sure to subscribe over to us at youtube.com/the DGD podcast. Social media is basically the same thing. The DGD podcast or DGD podcast. You'll see it. You'll know. So I want to make sure that if you want late night talk, we do this Monday and Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern. So it's maybe a little bit more unfiltered. So watch out, but we're going to try to keep it content, right? We're going to try to keep it calm. But certain games with no holds back, no holds barred, just period. Right.
And I do want to say thanks to all my people who've been hanging out in the chat and keeping it lively.
Much appreciated.
I appreciate that.
Love that new content, folks.
Everybody's doing good over there. I haven't been able to chat with you much, but that's, that is what it is. I appreciate y'all hanging out with us.
No, I love the new blood, man. It's good to see those different perspectives and things like that. So it's always good to see that. And by the way, Caleb, shout out your Twitch channel as well. Obviously, Caleb does his stream. He streams college football 26. Also, like I said earlier in the show, is top 100 in the world right now. But there's some other stuff you're doing. What's some other stuff you're doing?
Well, right now I'm currently ranked number 76 globally, so I'm pretty much a beast. Right now, actually on Twitch.tv /KTG13TV. You can also find it on Facebook, KTG13TV. Right now, we're actually doing a thing where I'm winning a game with all 136 FBS teams. I spin the wheel. Whoever lands on randomly, I play with until I win. We've already knocked out Oregon, Clemson, Memphis, Northern Illinois, and Virginia. So if y'all want to check that out, make sure y'all come. I'm live every day, Monday through Friday, 3 Eastern is when it starts. And then I have a night as well. But right now it's a little crazy with me being on this show as well. So we're still getting those teams out. But 3 Eastern every day, Monday through Friday. And also, if y'all want a piece of me, I do play subs. If you have Amazon Prime, it's a free sub over on the Twitch. So if y'all want a chance at a top 100 player in the world, come get you some.
I do.
About to say something.
I do what. First off, I don't know anything about Twitch, man. I've never been over there, so congratulations, dude. That's a new world to me. I got to figure that one out. But I did. I forgot to mention this Thursday or this Wednesday, the 27th. So Wednesday during the show, I'm giving away 3 University of Georgia hand signed jerseys. 3. So if you haven't gotten yourself entered, head on over to Instagram, follow the directions there, click the link where I tell you to click the link, and get yourself signed up if you want a shot to win. So we'll be revealed on Wednesday, but there's going to be 3. They're awesome. Don't worry. Everything's authentic. Everything's certified. And here's the good news. That's going to happen all fall because I've got a stack of them back here. So keep hanging around. Is that the Georgia
autographs?
Yes. Keep hanging around because what I'll do is I'll throw up, hey, enter this, enter this one. And that way you'll just have a possible gift coming to you somewhere down here in the fall. And thanks to our friends over at Georgia Sports Autographs for working with us. They wanted to do that. I'm like, let's get them to the people. So head on over to Instagram, get yourself signed up. We'll get you entered. We'll draw them live on the show on Wednesday during the stream. And then we'll just keep the train rolling from here down through the fall.
If you stayed to the end of this, folks, there is so much information that just took place. I want you to understand that. So make sure you're taking advantage of that. So shout out to everybody that's live here with us. Just saying. So like I said, so Randy, thanks again for coming on. Kicking off the Georgia season game week for us with us. Again, follow Randy, youtube.com/HBTFDAWGSCAST, and follow him social medias. Same end right there. Again, at the GGD podcast social media for us. Catch us Monday and Wednesday at 10 p.m. And with that being said, guys, it's game week. Everybody better buckle up. It's time to fucking go. Have a great morning, evening, good afternoon. We will catch y'all next time. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.